We have to understand that climate crisis is not a science problem. It's a science description. It's a human problem.
Unfortunately, I think that the increasing frequency of wildfires and hurricanes and natural disasters is kind of the wake-up call we need.
There is no economy if there is no rainforest. There is no economy if there's no air to breathe.
What are critical needs that we have as a society, and how can we utilize the power of business to be able to tackle those challenges?
In order for a business to be truly relevant to the future, it has to be socially responsible.
Social enterprise is brought about to create well-being for humanity.
Social enterprises are what ignite everything we do to drive actually towards big solutions.
How do we create more opportunities for people to connect? To connect to the soil, connect to their food, connect to each other.
Leveraging one another to drive bigger change and not just work in our own organizations, but really move as a collective.
We wanted to look how our company was impacting the environment and the social impacts of our company.
Creating healthy income and protecting biodiversity of the forest all at the same time.
The most important thing to me is social compliance, so people have a good living wage and good working conditions, and that we also use environmentally friendly textiles.
We are able to make a difference because we are able to procure agricultural products from a supply chain that is responsible.
We are dealing much more with just fruit producers. We are dealing with people that have massive communities.
And after 4 or 5 days of just being in this collective energy of peace, quiet, mindfulness, ease, not having any projects to work on, any meetings to attend, just letting go of their thinking, coming back to their breathing, being aware of their body and their emotion for 4 or 5 days. I think they felt very, very touched that we care enough. That will always be a core part of Wake Up Schools, taking care of the teacher.
Whether we know it or not, whether we like it or not, humanity is currently facing existential challenges. Experts warn that life on Earth is likely to change drastically in just our generation's lifetime if we continue business as usual.
The problem is man-made emissions aren't the only problem we're facing now. Even if we completely stop all industrial, agricultural, and transportation emissions, bring them down to zero immediately, the methane and other gases that are now being released from under the permafrost may still push recovery out of reach.
That is sobering, but we have to leave it there, Dr. Cohen. On that note, thank you for being with us today and helping us understand the situation.
Thank you, Megan.
In other news, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Authority, or NOAA, issued new warnings. They are reporting that the ocean's pH is still decreasing, meaning it's further acidifying. This despite concerted attempts to regulate carbon emissions and industrial and agricultural runoff. NOAA reports that as a result, phytoplankton populations in the ocean are still on the decline. And last night, in an emergency session, the United Nations extended the ICM operational window through June of 2052, prolonging what were intended to be short-term food and water rationing measures. We are just receiving some breaking news.
Nurse!
Thank you, Jasmine, for that report.
Nurse!
What is it, Mr. Baker?
It's time for my water.
I'm looking at a recent U.S. poll released last week
I'll
that
go get
shows
it.
23% of viewers actually agree with these groups and believe that fishless oceans are not real. I don't think any serious person doubts the UN when they say fisheries are empty, but who wouldn't wish it weren't so? For historical context, fishless oceans were actually predicted at least 40 years ago, at a time when about a third of all seafood species had already crashed. Some experts predicted back then that we would have fishless oceans by 2048. As we now know, that was very close to the mark.
The ICM mandate specifically allows each citizen 8 8-ounce glasses of water a day. 8 times 8. Remember? My right as a human being, even if I am locked up in this nut house.
Yes, Mr. Baker, you do have rights. And I just gave you exactly 8 ounces of water. The dispenser measures it exactly every time.
That's what they want you to believe.
Mr. Baker, come back here! Mr. Baker! Mr. Baker! Hey, calm down. Back.
No, I need water!
Get him in the bed.
No!
Okay, calm down.
I need water!
Okay.
I need water! No! It's not fair!
Go get water. Calm down.
Oh, no!
Mr. Baker, calm down.
Water.
It's gonna be okay.
I need water.
Okay. We'll get you some water.
There's so much bad news about our planet, it's overwhelming. The truth is, I've given up. This is the story of a simple solution, a way to heal our planet. The solution is right under our feet, and it's as old as dirt.
All of our soils that are under chemical conventional agriculture are almost completely devoid of microorganisms.
Modern agriculture was not designed for the betterment of the soil.
Fossil fuels are by no means the only thing that is causing climate change. When we damage soils, carbon goes back to the atmosphere.
But when we destroy soil, it releases carbon dioxide.
Biosequestration is using plants, trees, and techniques of grazing and farming to capture carbon and store it in the soil.
We can fix a lot of our climate issues if we bring the CO2 down into a living plant and put it back into the soil where it belongs.
Plants working with soil microorganisms, it seems too simple.
Healthy soils lead to a healthy plant, healthy human, healthy climate.
There could be a way to eat food that heals the planet.
The problem isn't the animal. The problem is where the animals are at.
how do we take waste and repurpose and reuse it, because it's really not waste.
The poop has to stay in the loop.
Compost is just one of a suite of soil-based carbon capture solutions.
We know how to do it. And if we continue to scale over 30 years, we can reverse global warming.
We can get the Earth back to the Garden of Eden that it once was by regeneration.
To see biodiversity return to a place that was completely devastated.
That gives me hope.
Our health and the health of our planet are connected.
If you look over here, my neighbor's land that has been chemical fallow, then you look over at our paddocks, you have a diversity of different plant species. Which model do you want your food to be produced from? The answer is pretty simple to me.
I'll make you a deal. I won't give up, and neither should you.